Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Cohen, and today we have an amazing guest with us. And this is such a beautiful person, friend in my life. And we have the best conversations ever. And I am just so excited to have Christy Parisi with us today. Now, Christy she does many things. Many things. She has the most beautiful account on Instagram, teaching you really like how to create like peace and groundedness in your life. But also she runs Ground and Center with our good friend Margot. So Christy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm
so excited.
I'm so excited to have you here. We've been talking about this for so long, so I'm so excited that it's finally here. So Christy, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how you really got started on this journey, what you do, and all the things.
Okay. So growing up, I just remember thinking, I would look around and think about how I felt, and I would say, I want the exact opposite of whatever this was. I didn't have emotionally available parents. It was a very toxic upbringing, and still working through and healing. Like I'm it's an interesting thing grieving your parents when they're still alive. And so I just remembered I made it my like life's like mission to first find that peace for me. And then after becoming a mom and being a teacher, I always feel like those kids are mine, like too. Because we as teachers, we always say my kids, right? And I just want to inspire others and kind of teach them what I've learned along the way on how to create your own sense of comfort and peace and how to be grounded in all of the ways. Like, may it be like what you choose to put on your body. And like, I talk a lot about on my page, using the 5 senses to help you regulate your nervous system, because growing up, my nervous system was very not regulated and it affected me in a big way. And having my son, he has autism and ADHD, and going through the journey of finding difficulty finding a therapist for him and getting in appointments. I mean, you need something right away when you're in that kind of situation. When your child needs something, you just want to fix it right away. And to be told over and over again, oh yeah, we can get you in a year and a half. Like
a year and a half?
Yeah, like it's hard. And and I would ask my own therapist at the time, I said, what do you think why is this happening? Like coming from your like perspective as a therapist and a counselor. And she like put it perfectly. And it made a lot of sense to me that nowadays there's so much need, right? People are learning embodiment, and they're learning how to regulate themselves, or what that even means, and they want it, which is fantastic. But there's only so many 45-minute sessions in a day, and only so many counselors and therapists, and then that's how these waiting lists become so long. So I remember sitting in the bathtub trying to regulate my nervous system and filling my cup and thinking, I want to create something that is not a replacement for counseling and therapy and all these incredible services, but an in addition to, or an interim, like in between. Because I just kept thinking like, gee, I wish there was some place I can take my son while we're waiting for these appointments, where he can learn how to practice embodiment and learn how to regulate himself and learn, all these different strategies of mindfulness, the mindfulness tool belt, that he can practice and then hone in on them when he does get to the appointments. But there wasn't anything like that. So at the time I met Margot through a mutual friend. I used to do Instagram lives, so I had her on as my guest, and I was like, wow, this girl's really freaking cool. And like, she was like, we like hit it off, and then I went on her podcast, and I just kept getting these little pings of like, there's a reason why this woman is in your life, and we just clicked, and we had a lot of the same thing that we wanted to do for the next generation. And I had never met anyone who felt as passionate as me in that. And we went out to dinner, and I called her first, and I told her, I was like, listen, I have this idea. And if you know me and you follow my home decor account, it comes to no surprise that I already had a mood board created of what I wanted Grounded Center to be. I might as well at that point have created a PowerPoint. Like, Marcos, this is what I want to do. So
Watch what I regale you with.
So she was like, you know what, this sounds amazing. And she had always wanted to kind of like branch off and do her own thing too. So it just kind of was like divinely, like everything just kept unrolling like it was supposed to happen. It was really hard to ignore. And so we both made the scary jump and opened Ground and Center. We've been open for about a little bit over a year. We opened in November of last year. So in this past November, we celebrated our year anniversary. And since then, we have added an all abilities teacher for all abilities of mobility, all abilities of like sensory abilities. And we hired a therapist who is going to do a workshop, not like a workshop type class, but it's like a grown up and me class where kids are going to learn from a therapist in a more like like counseling type scenario, things like how to make the jump from elementary school to middle school, learning executive functioning skills, learning bullying prevention, and all of the things that come along with being of school age, all the little tricky, sticky little situations. And the idea of having like a grown up there is that they're doing the journey together. You know, it's not like the child is just being talked at. You know, they're made a part of the learning. The grown up is made a part of the learning, and they're on the journey together, which then creates that sense of community, which is what I never felt like I had. So having Ground and Center is just really like, it's like a dream come true, because I would have needed a place like this and grown-ups like this.
Yeah.
I would have needed a place like that. So
I love that. So you created it.
yeah.
Yeah. So you said this is what I would have needed, and then you made it happen. You made it a thing for other kids. And listen, that's number one, the marking of a true entrepreneur, right? You solve a problem for yourself, right? And then how do I give this back, right? How do I help other people? But the work that you and Margot are doing from Ground and Center is, and I talk about, everybody knows, like I've talked about you guys on the podcast a million times before, and just in general, like even in my stories, because the work that you guys are doing is so important, right? Like we have to, like, we get it now. And anybody that's like listening to this podcast right now, like you're listening because you're trying to work through your nervous system too. You're trying to probably heal, and you're going on that journey. Not you're trying, you are, right? Like you're doing those things and you're figuring out what that looks like for you. But imagine if you had those tools when you were younger. Imagine if you had the self-awareness, the wherewithal to understand your emotions as they were coming up, that we wouldn't be stuck in the past with our emotions that we've been experiencing since we're 5, 4, 6, 7, like all these different ages. And then we act from that age as adults. Like imagine if our kids of that age had the tools, and that's 100%. What you guys are doing at Ground and Center. And it's so amazing. And it's not just for little kids, right? We're talking for up to teens. Like I take my kids, I would take Gavin there. He's 12.
He's the best.
And he loves going. He loves going to, because like I think he feels, like we, obviously at home, we really see him and we teach him, but there's going to be other things that you get outside of the home, and that's just that. And he needs that.
Yes. And there's something to be said about sitting in community, right? I see it from my students all the time. Like I try to have like one-on-ones with them if the situation calls for it, and say like, get on their level and say like, hey, like what's really going on? And 9 times out of 10, they talk about things that they feel like they're the only ones going through. And I'm like, hey, I got news for you. Someone else just pulled me in the hallway and told me the very same thing last week. Like, you all are going through, you're not the only one. And sitting in community and having these teens and tweens, like for Gavin's age, sit in community and look around the room and be like, wow, like this many people feel the same way I do, or just letting them have organic conversation in the in-betweens of your little lesson plan, like, and they make connections and know that, hey, my people are out there. It's not so much, maybe I don't have the people in my class, but outside of school, I can meet people of similar interests and of similar walks of life and similar mindsets and who want the same goals. And what a great connection that is to grow together. And I don't know, I feel like growing up, I was always told, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. And I learned how wrong that is. It takes a village in so many sense.
Oh my gosh.
And
totally.
to show that to children at a young age and have it become an organic part of themselves. Like, yes, we still want them to learn grit, and we still want them to learn, like every time my son struggles with something, I do the mom thing. Like, I go to want to help him, and then I force myself to take a step back because he has to learn and he has to struggle. And that's one of the hardest parts of a parent, is watching them struggle with something big or small, but he has to learn as well. And, but at the same time, everything in moderation, right? And I just love that we have a space where children could come together and learn these skills at such an early age. And my biggest thing is, it's a practice, right? So it's not going to be perfect all the time, and that's important to teach them too. And having these classes weekly, having them form friendships, which is my favorite part of watching our like little yogis like become friends and hang out. And like I love that we're building a more sensitive, a more aware, a more softer generation. And even for boys, like it's like sometimes boys are told like, oh, you gotta like man up, right? But it's really okay to be in your feelings. Like, it really is okay. And what that looks like, and what does it mean, and how to find your safe people, and like these are all things that are so important to learn, that I'm learning now as a grown up. And I just wish I had that, when I was younger. So it's just a blessing to be able to have a forum, a space where kids feel safe, where they feel heard and seen. No question is too silly. And that they always know that they have a place where they could go to feel safe or come with their problems. Like, I have one student that just loves to, like, in the beginning of class, like, we have a little chit chat, and I feel honored that she feels comfortable enough to tell me, like, like what's going on at school, and like, and then I work it into our yoga practice. And so I can teach her how to do that on her own when she's not at class. So it's not just skills on the yoga mat, it's skills off of the yoga mat as well, which is important.
Yeah. I mean, just everything that you're saying is just resonating so much. And I'm sure that it's resonating with anybody that's listening that has kids, because there just comes a point, and especially, with, I think, like that middle school age, maybe even like, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of things about even like fifth grade, things like that type of age where it's that transition, fourth, fifth grade, where, it's really hard. It's hard, not just for them, but for the parent as well. And if you're not tuned into it, if you're just like, oh, that's just how kids are, oh, that's just school, it's like, it's not. Like, this is shaping you. Think about how you are shaped, how you were shaped from your past experiences, the things that held you back as an adult. You have the opportunity right now to not protect your kids from it, because at the end of the day, we do grow from these things, right? But how to handle it with grace, how to handle it where it doesn't become a part of you, but it becomes a learning experience, right? It doesn't become the shadowy part. It's like, okay, this happened or this person said this, and I don't have to actually make this mine.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
it's like, but I do have to work through the emotions that come with it.
Yeah.
And I just think that right there is like the best gift that we can give our kids.
100%. I tell this to my son, I tell this to my students, I tell this to myself, that this is Earth school.
Yeah.
This is Earth school. And every situation is a lesson, whether you like it or not. Every situation is a lesson. And maybe something like, I mean, not to say it's small, because to them it's their whole world, but if they get a poor grade on a test,
Yeah.
right? I take them out and we talk about it. I'm like, so what did you learn here? Like, because let's not worry about the number that's on your paper. That's okay. I get it. Feel your feelings.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about it. That I understand you're disappointed. Like, let them go through it, but then say, okay, teach them how to feel their feelings. And then say, dig deeper and stay curious. It's all about being curious. And then that's when it starts to get fun, because then you're like, ooh, like, okay, this is a crappy situation, but like, where can I learn here? And how can I get curious? And when you, in the beginning, tweens and teens are like, okay, like,
Yeah.
but then when you do it with them regularly, they really start to see, oh, I can fix this problem. And when kids take ownership over something, they love it, because they feel all day that the grown-ups are telling them what to do. Like, oh, I can actually like do this myself and fix this myself and make my decision myself. And then when they reap the benefits of, may that be coming to extra help or studying, or, you know, or if it's like a bigger problem with a friend, or just with their self-esteem, right? Or just with us as adults. Like, whenever I have a problem, it's now become a part of me organically, and I'm not perfect at it, but okay, like, where can I get curious here? Because I'm learning something about myself right now. There's something I have to unpack here that is, I have to learn. And I know you and I had talked about this after one of my spinals, that I have a lot of karmic loops that come up for me. And ever since then, like, I needed to hear that, because
Yeah.
and ever since then, any situation that is similar to these things that keep happening for me, I'm like, okay, like, what do I have to learn about myself here? What do I need to unpack? Or how can I get curious? There's something here that I am meant to learn. And and if we could teach our kids to do that, I've seen it. They want to step up to the challenge, because it's like, oh, this is fun. This is exciting. Like, and then it doesn't become about, let me just beat up at myself here. And another thing, like, kind of connected to that, is I always tell them, how would you speak to a friend in this situation? And they would always say something kind, like, oh, well, you tried your best and you could do better next time. Or you did, you know, like, you've learned. Like, they always come up with something wonderful. And I said, well, why can't you say that to yourself? Because at the end of the day, you have you. And why would you not extend that same kindness to yourself as you would to a friend? You know?
So good.
Yeah. And I have to do that as a mom.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, at the end of the day, we've all had those moments where we're like, oh my God, I'm the worst mom ever.
Yeah. Yes, you do. And then if you can, like, you start, it becomes a spiral.
Yes.
Like, all of a sudden, and then this, and then that, and then this, and then you're crying, and like, wait a minute.
Yes. And then you're in the pantry and you're eating chips. And, like, I don't know. It's a little personal. But but it's so true.
Yeah.
We all go through it. And it's true. Like, I read this book, Slay Like a Mother. And that was a little exercise that she had, where she would give you scenarios and you'd read them. And then you would say, like, oh, you were like late for work, or you were late for a meeting. And then it would say, well, if this was a friend, like, what would you say? And of course I was like, oh, you got this, babe. And, like, and then me, like, how could you? Like, if I'm talking to myself. And then seeing it out on paper, I'm like, wow, I'm really freaking mean to myself sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like the act of, like, showing yourself grace, and you can only do your best, and your best looks different every day.
Every day.
And it's not to say, like, a pass to be, like, lazy and irresponsible, but it's like, when you genuinely tried your hardest and it doesn't go out the way that you wanted it to go, it's okay. And again, find the lesson. It always comes back to that. find the lesson. Why didn't it work out? Get curious. And is this maybe not a path for you right now?
Yeah.
You
I
know?
think the biggest thing I say this all the time. I think I even had a podcast episode about it. It's like, how am I the problem here? Right. It's like taking ownership of it. Even if you felt like I had nothing to do with this, I didn't do anything.
Right.
It was no, but how were you the problem here?
Mm.
Because if you can say, how am I the problem? Then you can say, okay, great. If I'm the problem, then I'm the solution.
Yes.
Right. So it's like,
love it.
so even if you felt like somebody did something to you or said something to you, it's like, okay, well, how am I the problem? You know what? I'm the problem because I keep letting it happen, because I keep doing this. So like, yeah, I can't control somebody else's, actions. I can't control the things that come out of their mouth,
Right.
but what I can control is how I receive it.
Yes.
What I can control is, do I do something about it? Maybe I've been quiet about it. I haven't told a grown up, or I haven't said something to somebody or said something to them, like, stop. Right. Like maybe sometimes all you have to do is just say, stop.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yes.
Right. But the kids, adults too,
Yes.
may be afraid to say something.
Scary.
So it's like,
Yeah.
how am I the problem here? I did this did I ever tell you this with the nail place?
No.
I kept going to this nail place nonstop. And I was like, every time I would make an appointment and every time I would go in there, and I'm like, they never honored appointments. So like I would be in there. I'm like, I called you. I'm on my lunch hour. This is when I was in corporate. And they'd be like, oh, we'll get to you. And now I'm late coming back from work. I'm running in like a maniac. I'm mad when I'm sitting there. I'm upset. And then finally I'm like in there one time, and I was like, oh my, I was going to, on vacation the next day. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like I can't even go somewhere else right now. And they finally took me. I think I was like so red in the face, like furiously mad. And then I sat there and I said, how am I the problem? Because even though I'm doing all the right things, right? I'm making the appointment. I'm like trying to check the boxes. And I'm like, I'm the problem because I keep coming back.
Yes.
There's 1 million nail salons across Long Island, and I keep going to this one.
But isn't that so human though? We're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
Right? We're creatures of habit. But that's the thing, is to know that about us.
Right. I was in a loop of it. I was like, I keep going back there. And I'm like, you know what?
You don't go there anymore.
Hell no. I said, that was the last time I sat in that chair, and I was like, I am manifesting a nail salon that honors appointments. And I found one right across the street from the shop. And that's all that they really take is appointments. They don't really do walk-ins.
There you go.
So I'm like, and they honor, there's never a time that I'm waiting. If I'm waiting, it's not no more than 5 minutes.
Perfect.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But
it's so true. It happens to all of us though. We're like, how many times, just like things we talked about after my spinal, like how many times am I going to do the same thing over and over again and then complain about it and then say, oh my God, I feel terrible. Like, well, yeah, of course you felt terrible. You felt terrible the first 10 times this happened.
Yeah.
But we're such creatures of habit. But again, that's what it's all about. When you teach about embodiment and how does my body feel and what can I do to change this icky feeling that I'm feeling right now? And that's the thing, like when you teach that early on, it becomes organic. It becomes a part of who they are. And I do it with my own son, like all the time. Like it's a part, like all of the things we do at the studio, I bring it into our home. And then I always say to myself, how can I teach so that other families can take what we're learning in class and do it at home as well? Because, hey, we are creatures of habit. So let's use it to our advantage. Let's make those habits good habits.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that this is so important because we don't know about ourselves as parents what we don't know.
Oh gosh, yes.
And it's like we are parenting, reacting, responding, guiding, leading our children from our own wounds. And if you're not looking at those wounds or you don't know that you're there, you're always going to guide from there. You're going to guide your children maybe away from things that that maybe will help them to thrive, or maybe you're speaking to them in a way that you think is protecting them. But at the end of the day, it's actually causing maybe a little bit more shadow because it's your shadow and you're trying to protect your child from it. But at the end of the day, you're actually causing more harm.
Mm.
Right. And it's
Yes.
like, listen, we're never going to get it 100% right as parents. Like
Right.
I had to make peace
Yes.
with that as a parent,
Oh,
that
it's
I will
hard.
give my kids shadow. And that was like hard to
It's
do
so
because
hard.
I teach it. That's what I do for a living. I'm like helping people to,
But it's human.
but it's human. We
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
like, we have to be a trigger sometimes for
Mm.
people. And we have, for people in general, not just our kids, like we have to be that person.
Yeah.
And for at times for that person to grow.
Yeah.
You have to grow. But if you don't know how to grow from it, it will just continue to be shadows. So
100%.
my thing is like, I know I'm going to create something.
Mm.
I can also help with it after if I don't
Yes.
attach to it, you know?
Yes. Well, I while you're talking, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like how many times have I apologized to my son? Right. And oh my gosh, like growing up, my parents, if they ever apologized to me, I would have dropped dead right there because,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, do as I say, not as I do is like the whole, like, you know, or, you know, we are your superiors. And I never felt like they ever got down to my level. And, I don't know. I don't, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't see a problem with apologizing to your kids.
No, I always do
And
too.
they are always watching, right? For good, bad, ugly, everything in between. And even if like my fiance and I, you know, like it is okay. Because I remember thinking when I was a new mom, I'm like, oh, I never want him to know like arguments. I never want him to know like if I made a mistake or everything's got to be perfect. Because you want that for your kids. You want like a perfect Disney, like, but that's just unrealistic expectations. And that's when you start stressing yourself out and stressing out everyone else around you.
Yeah.
So the thing is just like you said, come to peace with it, that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to bring shadow, and it is okay to apologize when that happens. And
Totally.
there are so many times where I say, you know what, but I'm really sorry. I now see what you were trying to say. And then we talk about it. And you know what? He is learning that he can do that too.
Yeah.
That it is not weak to apologize. It is okay to be wrong. Because that was like a big thing for me growing up, is that I was constantly around situations where it was not okay to be wrong. Like you stepped a toe out of line and you were like, it was a problem.
Yeah.
And there was no room for error. And I want to show my son that I even make mistakes. And
it's okay.
And I recognize that. And then he can start being the same way. And then we hope that it's a generational loop, right? My whole thing is wanting to break chains. I want the things that have been toxic in my life to end with me. And again, I understand I'm not going to be perfect at that because I'm still unpacking things and working through them. But I really do try my best to break chains and help the next generation. And you know what? Sometimes that starts at home.
Yeah,
you know,
it does. I think it always does.
it's a ripple
honestly.
effect.
Absolutely.
Because then he's going to go to school and he's going to extend that same grace and the same kindness. And if you always lead with love, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And I just love that for him,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, he's still spunky. He still knows what he wants. And like, you can do both. You can be strong in who you are and oh my gosh, and boundaries, which we do have to talk about because I'm huge on that. But like boundaries, it is okay to set boundaries, but also lead with love, which is so hard to do.
Yeah.
But I'm sending out this little boy into the world and hoping that he can just be a ripple effect. And that's what we're hoping with like all of our students at Ground and Center too, just sending out all these like little like droplets of happiness and understanding. And you know, I learn from my kids all the time. So maybe they're not even learning from a kid is learning from a kid. Maybe a grown up is learning from them.
Absolutely. I mean, I think too, and a big part of it's actually very interesting. It came up for I'm learning this new thing. I'm almost at the end of it. It's called rapid transformational therapy, right? And you can do it with kids. You can do it with adults. And Gavin wanted to do this with me. He's like, practice on me, mommy. And I'm like, okay. So it was amazing what came up. And then at the end of it all, I said, I want you to know something. Everybody feels different. That is the common thing. The common thing is that everybody feels different from everybody else, but nobody says it.
Right.
And it's like, we're meant to be different, and that's okay. And I think that when we teach our kids all of these things, right, and we kind of point that out, like, it's okay to feel different. It's okay to be, you're actually meant to be different. You were meant to, everybody's meant to be different. We're all unique, right? Then it's okay, all of that, because everybody's feeling it. And if you know that everybody's feeling it, then you can have compassion for other people. You can have compassion when somebody, you look at and you say like, oh, they're different. And then you can say, oh, wait, but so am I. Right. And like, oh, and that's cool. And like, I can honor that. Right. And if you could start to do that, all of a sudden what you're teaching your kids is like, not judge.
Oh, yes.
And I think that we like are like this age group came from a judgment, like not a judgment free zone, right? It's like judging yourself, judging everybody else. And I feel like anybody that I'm friends with, their parents were so judgmental and still are of themselves and also of other people. That's how you were taught. Right. So now if we can start to break that down and say, yeah, everybody's different. And like, that's beautiful. Yes. Right. It's like, that's what we're teaching the kids. And I feel like that's what you guys do at Ground and Center. It's like, you guys are showing these kids that it's like, we all have our things and we can work through them all and we can actually do it together.
Yes. Yeah. And this is the one thing I wanted Ground and Center to be almost like a one-stop shop of mindfulness. So we have Margot, who teaches the babies all the way up to age 9. And then I do the tweens and the teens all the way up to age 17. And we have our new teachers. We have Miss Krista. She's a music teacher.
Love her.
We have music.
Love her.
Her voice is
phenomenal.
Amazing.
So beautiful.
I can listen to her sing anything.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. And we have Miss Jessica, who has been teaching forever all different kinds of abilities of people. And she's really good at like the modifications of everything and like how to make people feel welcomed and like they can move their bodies and they can sit in community in a mindfulness yoga class. And she also is doing a class for young athletes to help prevent injuries, help them with their flexibility, just sit in community with other athletes. And then of course we have Miss Jeannie, who is the therapist who's going to help with all of like this grown up in me class and talking about all the little tricky parts of being of school age. So you know what I want to do? Yeah. I'm going to offer up a free class so that you guys can experience it. Cause I feel like, you got to experience it. I feel like it's like, I want to like, it's just an amazing place to be. And we have so many different new classes that I just want like be like the Oprah of
you get a class. You get a class.
I'm just going to give away one.
Yes.
Don't worry.
One. Margot's like, what? Margot's going to be on the podcast.
So we're going to just give away a class. We'll do a little giveaway.
That's so great. Awesome. Yeah. So this is amazing. If you guys are local to Long Island, Ground and Center is in Bayshore, and now you guys get a free class. So we'll make sure that we share that code in the show notes, and make sure that you check it out for your kids because you are going to absolutely fall in love with it the way that I have. You guys are doing such an amazing job with it. So this is how you're creating this like grounded action and grounded, like this kind of coming back to yourself and for the kids of like this peacefulness, but also on your Instagram, you're doing this at home and you're teaching people at home how to do this. So can you talk a little bit about what you're doing on your page, what that is, how everybody can follow along, and then talk to us a little bit about like the inspiration and everything for that?
Sure. So I have a separate Instagram page. It's called Our Comfy Abode, and there's dots like our.comfy.abode. And I started doing it. I started selling Pampered Chef like a lot.
Okay. I love me some Pampered Chef, to be quite honest.
I have like the slow cooker is the bomb. I don't work for them anymore. But like I have always wanted to like do these little like side hustles. I just love it. I am a forever learner, like truly. Like I love learning. And so I started dabbling into that, but then it got really serious after my divorce. So when I got divorced, I moved into a little condo with my son and a stray cat that we rescued that I had no business rescuing because I was, I was like sad and busy and going through a divorce, taking care of my son, and I have no family here. And I was like, oh, you know what? This seems like a good time to
Let's take in a cat.
take a feral cat in. Meanwhile, I'm allergic. So you will, nothing's ever boring on this page. I can promise you that. But so I started really tapping into what is the definition of comfort, because I was really sad at a lowest part of my life, and and I'm like, wow, this is my opportunity to pick myself up, delve into my creativity, tap into it, because that's what makes me feel good. I'm a creative. And also, I get to create this loving little hub for my son and I. And it's going to be our safe haven. It's going to be the place where we come home and we just are like, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, oh, okay, we're home.
Yeah.
And because I never had that ever, I felt like in my marriage, I didn't have that. I felt like growing up, I didn't have that. And now I was like, this is my chance to have it. So I started sharing all these little ways of how I was finding comfy. I like to talk a lot about the five senses and how it taps into your nervous system. So I'm really huge on signature scents, huge on like textures and color theory, and how all of these things, like it's not just like going to the store and just saying like, okay, yeah, that's a cool plate. Like even down to like my plates, like I thrifted these amazing plates that like my grandma used to have, and every time I eat on them, I feel like a hug from her. Like it's right down to like the littlest thing. And every once in a while, like my son will say like, I like being here, or like he'll say something along those lines, and I'll be like, this is it. This is where it's at. So I started from there, and it just has turned into this beautiful place where like my followers are truly amazing. Like I adore them, and I just feel like I can show up and be unapologetically me. And there's always someone in my DMs that's like, oh my God, same. Like so it's good. Where like all of the quirky, like decor loving, like slow living, wanting to have comfort people can sit in community. Again, it's all about community and like finding your people. And I love it. I love sharing our home, and I love sharing like the laughs. And now my fiance gets in on the fun, and every once in a while, like he's from England, and so he like he's a good sport about a lot of things.
He is. He's a good sport.
Yeah, he'll say something, and I'll be like, "Hang on one second," and I'll grab my phone. I'll be like, "Can you say that again?" He's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I can't do a British accent. I can't.
Me neither, actually. I can do a lot, but I can't do that.
It's fun, and it's, I don't know. I just like bringing people into our home, and there are so many people that like will message and say, "Hey, like I always look forward to like what you're going to share," and I don't know, it makes me feel good. So yeah, I love sharing feel good things. I love it. And even if I'm not an expert at all of it, I love sharing the learning process. So we just got a new house, and it was built in the 70s, which I love, but I want to like make it our own. So I've been sharing that. Like Chris, my fiance, went to go, and I forgot what he was doing. He went to go run an errand, and then he came back, and I had ripped up all the carpet in the house. I have ADHD, so I like to delve into impulsivity every once in a while. So I was like, you know what? Now seems like a really good time to just rip up all the carpets. Beautiful hardwood floors underneath.
Yeah.
But then he came home to mountains of carpet, and he was like, Christy, where are we putting it? I'm like, I don't know. Like, we'll figure it out.
No.
So we had to like, make arrangements to have a friend help us bring it to the dumpster. But I felt like it was a good time.
Yeah.
And it looks beautiful now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I do the same things actually.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden I'll randomly, like with zero thought of the end game,
Right.
just,
Yeah.
just like jump in. And
Why
then
not?
like Andrew would be the same way. My
Yeah.
husband, he's like, Tiff, like, what do we do with all these things?
But
I'm like,
it's never boring. We're
I'm
not
not sure.
boring.
And I do it here a lot too. The girl's like, what are we doing about this? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't really think that far, but we'll figure it out, you know?
You know what? Just go with it. There's
Yeah.
going to be a lesson, and
There will be a lesson. That
it'll be
is
fun.
for sure.
But I love that. It's, you know what? Because, you know what? As serious as things can be, right? Again, everything in moderation. Everything doesn't have to be so serious. So if I want to, you know what? If you're listening,
Rip up your
here is, don't tell your husbands. Here is your sign to rip up the carpet.
Or then you have something with the cabinets too, like you took all the
Oh
cabinets.
my gosh. So and I feel like my son, like one of my son's friends will remember this. It's like a core memory for him because he brings it up and I'm like, oh God, like he's going to remember me as like the lady. So one day, so we had a leak when we moved into our house and it ruins the cupboard in the kitchen and it just never dried. I don't know. It just didn't dry. It smelled weird. So I'm like, okay, you know what? My son was having a play date. 2 other kids were over and one of them walks across the bathroom. I'm literally like foot against the wall, like ripping the cabinet off the wall myself. And he's like, are you okay? Like this.
Are you okay?
It's like, yeah. Oh my gosh, can you get the door for me? So they were just 3 little gentlemen. They were very intrigued as to what I was doing. But they were 3 little gentlemen and they like helped me open the door and they were like, so what are you gonna do now? Because it was like
Not really sure.
We'll figure it out. But now I have beautiful open shelving in my kitchen. It looks great.
It does look great.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, and it's a story to tell.
Yeah.
So whenever
I love it.
whenever I like show people around our house, I'm like, okay, so this is where we ripped the, you know, I ripped the things off the wall. This is where the carpet got ripped up. There's always like some kind of story, but it's fun. And again, like I'm not a professional.
Mm-hmm.
I just I'm leaning into learning and I love that. Like I just had someone comment on a reel the other day and it's very interesting. They always say like, don't read the comments.
Yeah.
But you have to respond. It's engagement.
Yeah.
But someone was like, oh, we just got chicken. We have chickens.
Yeah.
And so someone was like, oh, she's new to chickening. She doesn't know what she's doing. And I'm like, I responded and I'm like, you are 100% right. I
Yeah.
have no idea what I'm doing. I researched to make sure I kept them alive, but like I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I said, I hope that you get to learn something too one day. Like,
yeah. Maybe you learn from this.
Yeah.
Me responding to you that it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay to not like know it all.
No, by the way, like most of us are not professionals in the things that we
Yeah,
do,
I get
especially
that. Yep.
like, you know, you want to do something at home and you're like, I'm going to just take this on myself. Like you're not a professional contractor. You're not a
Right.
professionalist, but guess what? Like your home is beautiful. Everything always comes out amazing.
Thank
And
you.
you're
Thank
now
you.
so far ahead of other people and you can help them
Yeah.
with their things that they want to do, that don't want to hire contractors and all these other things.
And you could say you
And
did
you could say you did it. And like,
Yeah.
look how cool that it comes
cool.
out.
And you know, my son will come and help me.
Yeah. But
Chris will
like,
come help me because you know he's got no choice.
yeah, like get over here. He's like, oh boy, here we go.
No, he's happy to help. He's happy to help. But it's so. But again, a lesson, right?
Yeah.
Like, my son is like, hey, you know what? My mom has no idea what the hell she's doing, but this looks like a fun thing.
Yeah.
and
But
she's
she
learning.
jumps right in. She doesn't have fear.
Yeah, exactly. Learning is so fun, and I don't know. Like at the risk of sounding like, you know, silly, I just think learning is so fun.
It is.
Anything, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that my son gets to see like that side of me, you know,
Yeah.
that it's not always serious. And you know what? I may not have a plan, but I'm jumping in and we're going to figure it out.
Exactly.
If
But
not, that's what YouTube is for. Just
yeah.
YouTube it.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think it's like it's important for kids to see this as well because there will always for a lot of people there will be a fear. Like I don't want to do it because I don't know how.
Right.
And it's like, well, the only way that you learn how is by doing.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
no matter what, you can read a million books about it, but until you actually do it, you're never going to learn, right?
what's the
So you
worst thing
have
that
to
can
just
happen?
jump in, right?
Yeah,
So for that
100%.
person making like the comments, like okay, but when you started
Right.
with chickens,
You were new.
you were new, and what happened there? You learned,
Right.
right? It's like
Right.
maybe you didn't share your journey, but you're doing a service for everybody. You're taking
Yeah.
people along your journey and saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to try this and we're going to try that and we're going to see what happens. They
Yeah.
liked it. They didn't like it. This
And it's
happened, that
important to share
happened.
the failures too. Because
Exactly.
that's
We
the
have to
one
be okay
thing.
with that.
Yes. And the one thing on my page is I always try, like, you'll ever see once in a while, like the laundry basket's full in the background. Like, I'm not moving it because everyone else's laundry basket is full in the background too. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's fine. Like, I, as much as I love sharing authentically because there is a responsibility to sharing things on social media, and it can be toxic. It
Yeah.
can be setting unrealistic expectations, especially, you know, like if a lot of, like, you know, busy families follow you, and it's important to say, hey, you know what, we had McDonald's today and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
and I haven't done the laundry in like a very long, like,
Yeah.
we've just been pulling clean clothes out of the laundry basket to put them back in the washing machine, and
Yeah.
then continue. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine, you know, because everyone does that.
Yeah.
And to pretend to be perfect is just harmful and irresponsible. So,
Yeah. I agree. Because there's no
yeah.
perfection, you know,
Yeah.
at all. And like, let's stop pretending that there is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Christy, what a beautiful conversation this was. I love, love, love chatting with you. So why don't you tell everybody about how they can follow you one more time, how they can follow Ground and Center?
So Ground and Center is on Instagram. So Ground and Center LI on Instagram. You can also check out our website, Ground and Center Inc. Or groundandcenter.org, excuse me, and then Ground and Center Inc. As our Gmail.
Okay.
And if you go to our comfy abode, that is my Instagram, where we do a lot of crazy home decor ideas and just kind of learning how to find your comfy outside, but also inside of yourself. So I really hope that you guys decide to visit and be part of our little Ground and Center family. Come and visit my page on our comfy abode. It's all about being authentic and showing yourself grace and just finding your own version of peace. And yeah, this has been a wild journey. And the fact that I get to talk about it and people want to hear about it is wild to me. So thank you for having me on here, because this is super cool. Like, I get to use a really cool professional microphone. Like, the whole time I'm like leaning in.
Like, I like this.
I'm like, this just in. Like, thank you for having me on, because this has been so fun and I adore you. I really think that you I am blessed to call you my friend. And I think that you are just a beautiful person. You give so much of yourself to so many people. And the fact that I get to do something like this with you, and I get to call you my friend, and I feel very, very honored to know you.
Thank you
So,
so much.
no,
You're gonna
it's
make me
true.
cry.
It's true.
No,
I was
thank you
trying
so
to.
much.
No,
That was the
just
point.
kidding.
We love you so much, and
Love
the feeling is so mutual. Like, this is just our friendship has truly just grown, and I'm so grateful for it. Like, that we could just have these conversations and honestly, like, feel seen. I feel like that's like a big thing. So
Yes.
thank you so much.
Oh,
And thank you for being a guest on the
I love
podcast. You're
this.
so
This is
amazing.
so fun.
And guys, let us know, like, what resonated with you the most. I love to hear from you. So make sure you reach out to us at Spirit and Soul Studio. We love, love, love hearing what was your biggest takeaway. Tell me, tell Christy, reach out to her. And yeah, we just appreciate you so much. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast.